the August 19th Blue Spring City Council meeting. If you'll stand with me, I will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we'll get started. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. First item on the agenda, I'll call the meeting to order, and we have a confirmation of a quorum.
Councilmember Kaler.
Present.
Tholen. Here. Fowler.
Here.
Erickson.
Here.
Councilmember Edmondson is absent. Culpepper.
Present.
Mayor Levesey.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Next item on the agenda is a consent. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion on the consent agenda? All right. All in favor? No, this is roll call vote.
Councilmember Kaler.
Aye.
Tholen.
Aye.
Fowler.
Aye.
Erickson.
Aye.
Councilmember Edmondson is absent. Councilmember Culpepper.
Aye.
And Mayor Levesey.
Aye.
Carried unanimously.
Next item is a public hearing of Small Sliders Drive-Through Restaurant. If staff will get sworn in and give us a report. You need to read into the record. Go ahead.
Mayor, the city has one exhibit to enter into the record. City Council information form dated August 13th, 2024 with the following attachments. Staff report with attachments, application with attachments, affidavit of publication in the Examiner on June 22nd, 2024, 185-foot notification map, names, addresses of property owners within 185 feet of the site, copy of letter sent to said property owners, building elevations, Title IV Land Use Section, Blue Springs Code of Ordinance by reference, 2014 Comprehensive Plan by reference, bill approving the rezoning, and bill approving the general development plan. This is all we have to enter for the record.
So Chantel Fry, Associate Planner, 903 West Main Street, Blue Springs, on behalf of the city. Good evening, Mayor and council members. Before you tonight, we have two requests related to a proposed development of a Small Sliders drive-through restaurant. This development is planned for the southwest corner of Mo 7 Highway and just south of Northwest Mock Avenue. And the property that is in question right now is currently zoned as a general business planned unit development, or GBPUD. The first request is to rezone the subject property from its current designation of the GBPUD to general business of GB. According to the 2014 comprehensive plan, this property falls within a corridor reinvestment area, and these areas are typically developed along significant transportation corridors where site and building design must be balanced with transportation needs. The comprehensive plan identifies several future land uses such as these areas to include mixed-use employment dominant, mixed-use service and entertainment dominant, high-density residential, and open space. Staff believes that this property to be general business will align with the comprehensive plan, as it will also allow the property to be efficiently utilized for a restaurant with the drive-through access. Staff recommends approval of the proposed rezoning. Planning Commission held a public hearing on August 12th and recommended approval of the proposed rezoning application also. And as you can see with the rezoning, the current site is up here, shown in the red with the overlay still, but all other areas around here are general business, and the reason for the planned unit development to be removed is that it's no longer necessary for this type of business, and that the current office buildings will be torn down and demolished, and then with the new development of the restaurant. The second request is for approval of the general development plan to accommodate the proposed Small Sliders development. And the plan covers approximately 0.6 acres. Under the development standards, any regulation not specifically outlined must conform to the requirements for the most compatible zoning district as specified in the UDC. The site currently has 2 existing buildings, both of which are proposed for demolition. The new development will be classified as a general commercial building and will include a 930 square foot building to include a drive-through, an outdoor seating area, and associated parking. Development is proposed to occur in one single phase. Access to the site will be provided via Northwest Mock Avenue along the northern boundary of the property. Additionally, there will be access from an existing point on Mo 7 Highway near the site's southern corner, which will allow vehicles to turn right in and right out onto the highway. MoDOT has reviewed the site plan and the surrounding areas, determining that a full traffic impact study was not necessary, and the final approval memo from MoDOT will be submitted during the site plan review process. The applicant is proposing 15 parking spaces for the site, all of which will meet the minimum size requirement. The site only requires 7 parking spaces due to the small square footage of the customer service area, and there will be 25 stacking spaces available for the drive-through customers. The proposed development will not disturb any new land and will utilize existing acreage. Based on the best management practice manual, the project does not require any quality measures as it does not involve more than 1 acre of land. Additionally, there is existing sanitary sewer service line to the property. Per the general business zoning district standards, 12% of the property must be designated as an open space. The development plans to include significant landscaping and proposes the placement of a 6-foot wood privacy fence along the south and west property lines. This is intended to mitigate noise and pollution from headlights, given the proximity to the lower density residential units. The applicant is also proposing an internal sidewalk around the exterior of the building's footprint. These sidewalks will be 8 feet wide, with parking bollards placed along the north side of the building to protect the outdoor seating area. The site will feature a distinctive and modern exterior design utilizing shipping containers. These containers will have their metal surfaces exposed and painted in vibrant colors. The modular nature of the structure allows for a compact and efficient layout, with each container serving a specific purpose, such as a dining, kitchen, or storage. The buildings and site design are required to meet a non-residential design standards outlined in the UDC, which includes a minimum 26 gauge thickness and a minimum 1 inch depth offset with the panels. The applicant is requesting 1 alternative development standard related to the site location. Specifically, they're seeking a reduction in the landscape buffer along Mo 7 Highway and the southwest property lines. This request is due to the total required buffer area exceeding 10% of the lot area, as well as the utilization of the existing buffer along Mo 7 Highway. The proposed general development plan is consistent with the comprehensive plan and meets all UDC requirements, aside from the 1 requested deviation. Staff recommends approval of the general development plan with 3 conditions, and Planning Commission held a public hearing on August 12, 2024, and also recommended approval of the general development plan with 3 conditions. I'm available to answer any questions you may have requiring this proposed development.
Thank you, Ms. Bryant. Is any council members, Councilmember Gaylor?
Correct me if I'm wrong, I might have missed it. Both entrances, the one off 7 and the one off of Mock, or the outer road, in other words, is it both of them right in, right out entrances? Isn't that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Because there's a divider.
Currently there's a divider both in south or outer road and on 7 Highway.
Correct. And isn't this because of MoDOT's requirements, correct?
Well, that's the existing condition as it is today.
Yeah, but it was originally because of the Whataburger that we ended up having that more divider, correct?
Yeah, yes.
I'm just trying to
Yes.
lay the foundation of, if MoDOT has a lot of dictating, a lot of requirements here.
Yes.
We have to follow.
That's
Okay.
correct.
Any other questions for staff from the council?
Yes.
Councilmember Fowler?
Yeah, so these are, on the top there, that's a shipping container.
That's correct.
That's correct.
And they're the just regular what you'd buy, no different. I mean, it seems like an awful lot of weight to put up that high.
I believe the applicant can speak a little bit more to how they utilize these, but it is a kind of their trademark colors, their trademark construction process. They bring all the materials to the site in the shipping containers and then kind of build it as almost like a modular building and then utilize the shipping containers as architectural features.
Okay.
And the applicant is here if there are any further questions.
Any other questions for staff from the council? The applicant's present, come on up, swear in, and then give us your name and address for the record.
Yes, I do. Hi, my name is Mark Preda. I'm a Blue Springs resident. I'm the franchisee for Small Sliders. The shipping container is a one-use shipping container. It's painted. It is an ornamental only, just on top of the building. The building itself is a modular building built in Florida by a company and shipped here.
Do you have anything else to add before council has any discussion?
Oh, no, I'm just a Blue Springs resident and excited to bring this to my home city.
Do we need his address for the record?
Do-
I didn't hear if you did that.
You know my home address?
Whichever you want to give us.
Sure.
More business, yeah.
2609 Northeast Hunters Walk Trail, Blue Springs, Missouri, 64014.
Does anybody from the council have questions for the applicant?
I
Councilor
just want to
Culpepper.
clarify, you said that the shipping container will be the upper piece
Yeah, that's the
and
orange.
the lower part is just the pre-mod.
Yep, that's
Okay.
correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you
Okay.
for your time.
Thank you.
Any other discussion before I go to the audience? All right, we'll go to the audience. Anyone in the audience wants to speak in support of, in opposition to? Okay, any other comments from the council? We will close the public hearing. Next, I need an introduction and reading of the rezoning for Small Sliders Drive-Thru.
I will introduce it.
First reading of Bill 5241, an ordinance approving a rezoning for property located at the southwest corner of Mo 7 Highway and south of Northwest Mock Avenue, which contains .6 plus or minus acres from GB PUD overlay General Business Plan Unit Development Overlay to GB General Business for Small Sliders Drive-Thru Restaurant.
Your Honor, move the bill be approved on its first reading and proceed with the second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Second reading.
Second reading of Bill 5241, an ordinance approving a rezoning for property located at the southwest corner of Mo 7 Highway and south of Northwest Mock Avenue, which contains .6 plus or minus acres from GB PUD overlay General Business Plan Unit Development Overlay to GB General Business for Small Sliders Drive-Thru Restaurant.
Your Honor, move to approve the second reading and provide the proper ordinance number.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Tholen.
Aye.
Fowler.
Aye.
Erickson.
Aye.
Edmondson.
Aye.
Culpepper.
Aye.
Kaler.
Aye.
Mayor Levisay.
Aye.
Carried unanimously and given ordinance number 5348.
Next is introduction and reading of general development plan for Small Sliders Restaurant.
I'll introduce that.
First reading of Bill 5242, an ordinance approving the general development plan for Small Sliders Drive-Thru Restaurant located at 704 Northwest Mock Avenue and 809 Northwest Mo 7 Highway in Blue Springs, Jackson County, Missouri.
Your Honor, move the bill be approved on its first reading and proceed with the second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no.
Second reading of Bill 5242, an ordinance approving the general development plan for Small Sliders Drive-Thru Restaurant located at 704 Northwest Mock Avenue and 809 Northwest Mo 7 Highway in Blue Springs, Jackson County, Missouri.
Your Honor, move to approve the second reading and provide the proper ordinance number.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes,
Councilmember Erickson.
I missed you on the first time.
I'm sorry.
This looks fine to me, except I'm driving this in my mind and it seems like a giant clutter. Are we comfortable that it's in and out and people want to go there? You've got how many cars? 25 cars, assuming it's full? It seems like could create another after a football game event all day long. I mean, am I right to worry about that? That's not the question. I worry about that. Is there anything we could do to alleviate that?
Well, the access points, when this goes in, will be pretty much predetermined by the existing access drives and the constraints of the medians in the in Outer Road and in 7 Highway. There will be and the applicant is aware of those, and it's something that staff has brought up with them about, the out traffic on 7 Highway will only be southbound. And they're comfortable with the access points as they're shown. There is a MoDOT highway sidewalk project that's going to shortly follow this, beginning construction, Tom, January of next year, that will realign some of these access points down the road, but that'll be figured out down the road. But as of when this gets built, staff is comfortable that all of the accesses will function adequately.
Okay, thanks.
Any further discussion? Okay, roll call.
Councilmember Fowler.
Aye.
Erickson.
Aye.
Edmondson.
Aye.
Culpepper.
Aye.
Kaler.
Aye.
Tholen.
Aye.
Mayor Levesey.
Aye.
Carried unanimously and given ordinance number 5349.
Next is a public hearing for Tommy's Express Car Wash. If you can read the items to the record, and then staff will swear in.
Mayor, the city has one exhibit to enter into the record, City Council Information Form dated July 29th, 2024, with the following attachments. Staff report with attachments from the May 20th, 2024 City Council meeting, application with attachments, affidavit of publication they examined on April 27th, 2024, 185-foot notification map, names, addresses of property owners within 185 feet of the site, copy of letters sent to said property owners, Title IV Land Use Section Blue Spring Code of Ordinance by reference, 2014 Comprehensive Plan by reference, affidavit of publication of the August 19th, 2024 public hearing in the Examiner on August 3rd, 2024, 185-foot notification map, names, addresses of property owners within 185 feet of the site, copy of letters sent to said property owners for the August 19th, 2024 public hearing, and bill approving rezoning and PD concept plan with the plan development standards attached as Exhibit A and the PD concept plan attached as Exhibit B. This is all we have to enter for the record.
Staff, if you'll be sworn to give your report.
I do. Thank you, Mayor, members of City Council. Mike Mallon, 903 West Main Street on behalf of the city, and I have been sworn. Before you this evening are a request for rezoning and a PD concept plans for Tommy's Express Car Wash, a proposed tunnel-style car wash at 509 Northwest 7 Highway. The proposed property is hard to see in this map here. I'll blow it up for you real quick. Is just south of the intersection of R.D. Mize and 7 Highway on the west side. To the north is a drive-through ATM. The building is highlighted with the black and white hatched line, and then there's a bank to the south. The property was originally developed as a Hardee's restaurant back many years ago. Most recently, it was the site of U.S. Fleet Auto Sales. The site has been vacant for almost a year and a half, if not 2 years now. So the map here shows the surrounding zoning. To the west is service office, to the north is general business, to the south is general business. There is a small portion that is immediately adjacent to the south that is SF7. But that entire parcel here is developed with the bank. So the bank that was to the south actually has general business and SF7 zoning on it. So that is a bit of an anomaly in our zoning code, but just wanted to point that out. Where is the plan set? Apologize, our computer is taking a little bit longer than it needs to today. So the site, as it sits today, is currently undeveloped or unoccupied. It is developed. It is one building and almost entirely asphalt parking surrounding it. The proposed car wash is before you. The first request is to rezone the property from general business to planned development commercial. The planned development is being proposed to restrict the land uses on the property. The proposed land uses for this PD commercial zoning district would be all of the land uses that are currently allowed in the general business zoning with the addition of a car wash, and that is it. So they're taking the same zoning that's on the property today, which is general business, and adding car wash They're not proposing to add any other land uses that may be perhaps allowed in the regional commercial zoning that would allow a car wash. So that is how the applicant has chosen to present this rezoning request, to limit the amount of additional commercial uses on the property beside that of just a car wash. The second request is for a PD concept plan covering the entire 3/4 acre property. There will be 2 access points to the property that are currently, there are 2 access points existing, and the new proposed site plan will have 2 access points as well. The northernmost access will be a right entrance only, and the southern access would be a right in, right out only, again, due to that median N7 highway. There will be a 5-foot ADA sidewalk along 7 Highway, as shown in the drawings. The proposed land use is car wash, which is only allowed currently in the UDC, is only allowed in regional commercial zoning with a conditional use permit. That's why the applicant is proposing the PD commercial to add car wash as an allowed use to the general business zoning district. As part of the request, there are some modifications being proposed, namely to the required buffers around the perimeter of the property and a building setback for the canopy. So in the northern portion of the site, this dashed line represents the canopy that I'll show you here in a moment in the elevations. The normal building setback would be 10 feet. They are requesting a modification to 3 feet. Because that is an attached canopy to the building, it is required to follow the standard building setbacks, and so it would be 10 feet. If it had been a detached, or was proposed to be a detached canopy and not attached to the primary building, it would only be required to have it a 2.5-foot setback, as the detached canopy would be considered an accessory structure. So staff believes that this is an appropriate request because if it was detached, the setback would be even less than what they're proposing. The other required deviations or modifications to the code include the landscape buffer along 7 Highway be reduced from the minimum required in the code, which is 15 feet is the code requirement, and they are proposing to decrease it down to 4.5 feet. A reduction in the landscape buffer on the west side, which would be 7 feet, and they were requesting that to be 5 feet. And a decrease to this southwest portion of the site because of that SF7 zoning I pointed out earlier, to the south in the bank property, which is about right here. That requires a 25-foot setback for any commercial building adjacent to a single-family SF7, and so they're asking to reduce that because that is not a single-family use. It is actually a bank use, commercial use, so they're asking to reduce that to 2.5 feet wide. Staff generally supports these modification requests because the site, based upon its size and the constraints of the UDC as it's written today, if any use were to be proposed on this site and had to meet all of the required buffers, would make this site extremely difficult to develop with those landscape buffering requirements. Staff, I mentioned the building setback to the north and why staff supports that. The other reason staff supports the modifications is that given the current building and the amount of parking that is on it, if a use that was just allowed in the general business were to move into that property as is, then there would not be any requirements for any new landscaping. And so staff believes that these modifications to the landscape buffer widths are offset by the general improvement of the property and investment in the property, and also by the amount of landscape material that is being proposed in those landscape areas, and a trade-off between the buffer width and the amount of landscape material in those buffer areas. Parking requirements have been met. There are only 6 Actually, there's actually no parking stalls required for a car wash. However, there are 6 stacking spaces provided from the entrance on the north side to the tunnel area, and there are 20 parking spaces being provided along the south side of the building where the vacuums are, and then again over here to the west side of that for employees and other customers. The proposed building is approximately 4,500 square feet in size and utilizes a mix of metal panels, brick, and CMU block. It's a color palette that includes grays, reds, and whites in a more contemporary, modern style design that is part of the Tommy's Car Wash brand. All materials do comply with the non-residential design standards. Staff has reviewed this rezoning request under the 9 criteria included in the staff report, finds that it is in compliance with the comprehensive plan designation of neighborhoods and corridor reinvestment. Proposed zoning and development of the site with a PD will limit the amount of commercial uses on it to be essentially the same as general business with only the addition of the car wash. And is not proposing to rezone to a larger, more intense commercial zoning district. It will result in a significant investment in an underutilized property as a redevelopment opportunity for the city along 7 Highway. As I previously mentioned, if another land use or business that's allowed by right in the general business zoning were to move in to this property, there would likely be 0 further improvement in the parking lot or landscaping. The rezoning will allow for the development of a tunnel-style car wash, which is on the upper end of the car wash scale and would be only the 4th tunnel-style car wash that the city has. We have one on the north side of 7 Highway, one on 40 Highway, and one a little bit further south on 7 Highway. And staff believes that the rezoning to general business or to PD commercial based upon the general business zone is appropriate and therefore recommends approval. Staff reviewed the PD concept plan under the criteria listed in the code and feels the development will not have an adverse effect on the surrounding area. Again, it's providing redevelopment of a vacant and historically underutilized property in the highly visible 7 Highway corridor, and that the requested modifications are justified based upon the overall improvement of the property and the offset of landscape buffer widths with additional landscape material. Based upon these review criteria, staff recommends approval with 3 conditions on the concept plan. A public hearing was held at Planning Commission on May 13th, and Planning Commission recommended approval by a vote of 4-2 of both the rezoning and the PD concept plan, and approved the preliminary plat contingent upon approval of these 2 applications here before you this evening. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions before I turn it over to the applicant.
Any questions for staff from the council? Councilmember Fowler.
Yeah, Your Honor, I think it was page 279, Adobe page 279 maybe. Yeah, that drawing there. So I can see from the north side there, if you come in on, turn in that first one and go around and go through the car wash, and then you come out, you take a right out of the car wash and you head south. That point right there, if you've got somebody coming in, a right turn in, that just looks like a potential accident site. And then I guess the vehicles that go back to use the vacuums then have to come back out in the same location then.
Yes, this proposed southern access is a right in, right out.
So, yeah, that just doesn't have the flow of the ones that I normally think about. So, and you think their customers are gonna like that?
I believe that they could ask and have a little bit more insight as to
Yeah.
what their customers would do or not.
Okay.
Any other questions for staff from the council? Councilmember Kaler.
I got a couple. Mr. Mallon, is there a comparable size of the existing building to the new building? Do we have any idea?
Potentially, yes. Hold on one second. The existing building, unfortunately, I do not have that square footage. Quick guesstimate here would be about 3,000 square feet.
And if I understood right, due to the bank being on the west side and southwest of there, we're allowing the 2.5 feet. Would it automatically go to 2.5 feet because of that, or is that a request to go 2.5 feet?
It's a request to go 2.5 feet,
And what would it be?
25 feet because of the SF7 zoning. Even though it's a commercial bank, the back half of this lot is, as you can see here, the rectangle to the south of the hatched area encompasses all of this along
Okay.
B Street. And in the aerial photograph, you can see that parcel is the same as the bank. And so essentially the west quarter of the bank property to the south is actually zoned SF7 and not general business, even though it's
Well,
used for
I'm,
commercial.
like Councilmember Fowler, concerned with the in and out of this. I'm trying to grasp that. It just seems like a gallon of milk in a half-gallon lot. So, thank you, sir.
Councilmember Culpepper.
Yeah, I'm concerned about the stacking issue. The car wash on South 7 Highway, they're just south of Clark.
Mm-hmm.
It's 2 lanes going in, and they still end up stacked out on 7 Highway, particularly after it's been snowy and slushy.
Yes.
So is that what we're gonna end up with here? Is this gonna be 2 lanes? Number one, is this 2 lanes going into,
Yes, the right-in only then splits
and it
to
splits?
2 lanes, and there is a dividing median here
Uh-huh.
and a car, so 2 lanes form.
So
on
this,
both sides of that.
is this longer than what's on this one on South 7? Because they end up on the highway, and it's a mess.
Certainly understand that, and that is a concern we've raised with the applicant, and I believe they can address how they plan to handle that situation. They've assured staff that they will not let that happen, and I think that's something that they can speak to more, but yes, that's certainly a concern.
All right, because this is a much more congested area than what's on South 7.
Understood.
Something would have to be done there.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions from the
Yeah.
Councilmember Edmondson?
Kind of piggybacking on some of the comments made here. The flow is not adequate in the exit, because if somebody comes out of that exit and proceeds to make a right turn out of that lot, they could, with traffic flow down through there, with both going southbound bus right-hand turns and left-hand turns off of R.D. Mize, that vehicle could sit there for a while, and that may back them up into that car wash. The other thing I would see would be, trash service would have to be done late at night, because otherwise they could never get a truck in and out of there, because you surely wouldn't back a trash truck up onto 7 Highway trying to get off that lot. So it to me, it has some compromised issues. I'm concerned about long pickup trucks are getting pretty long, and making that corner going into it might be a little bit tight. But I do have concerns with this location, and it's, again, as Councilman Kaler had said, it's a lot going into a small box.
I think the applicant would be able to address some of those concerns, in particular with their turning radius into the site and throughout the tunnel car wash, as well as their intent to handle traffic entering the site, and also trash service and their hours of operation.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions for staff? All right, is the applicant present? Want to come give a presentation? If you'll be sworn in, give us your name and address for the record.
Rob Heisey.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this case will be the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Your name and address?
Yep.
Rob Heisey, 800 East 101st Terrace, Kansas City, Missouri. Okay. Well, first I want to thank staff and all the people that worked on this project to get where we're at today. It's been a long time coming, and it's been really good to work with staff. You got a great professional team. We are the local owner and operator and franchise partner for Tommy's Express for Kansas City, Northwest Arkansas, and Manhattan, Kansas. We currently have 6 operating car washes with 2 under development, and we are also a vertically integrated real estate development and construction company, which provides a single source of single source solution from concept to completion. As an investor and service provider, we've been active in Blue Springs for many years. An example of some locally completed projects include Harmon Industries, Lunar Bowl, Blue Springs Convention Center, Benton House, Dervet, and many other smaller commercial type projects. Community involvement. As a it's easier to read. As a hands-on local owner-operator, everyone involved in this development will be involved in the future daily operations. Community involvement is instrumental to our business model, and we're involved with youth sports, activity fundraisers, and we'll definitely be active in the Chamber of Commerce as we are in all the communities that we have an investment. We provide college scholarship opportunities for qualifying employees. We partner with the local school district in the ways that we can help the local school district, and we have 12 to 15 full and part-time employees that will be at this location. As far as local sites, this is our most recent opening, was this spring in Olathe, Kansas. So our car wash is a little bit different than some other car washes. A lot of our membership models. We have some really unique features of our car wash that help us process vehicles faster. That's clearly a concern. Starting at the time you enter the car wash site, is we have camera recognition on our license plates. So the cameras recognize your license plate number. The gate goes up, you continue through, and you keep processing. When you come in to enter the wash, it's a conveyor belt system versus where you have the rails, and it's a chain system. And that allows us to get cars onto the belt faster and closer together as you go through the wash. So those are some ways that we're able to speed things up as you do go through the wash. Everything within the tunnel is 100% automated. Oftentimes, some of the other tunnel car washes, they'll have someone that sprays the front of the car, which does a pretty good job, but it's oftentimes inconsistent. They don't do it the same way every single time. So our automation allows for consistent, efficient cleaning of the front of the car while you're going through and not slowing vehicles down as they're processing. This is our very first car wash in Overland Park 7 years ago. We put it on here. Last year we got a landscaping award. So 7 years in, we take very good care of our properties. We pride ourselves on that. That's part of our customer delivery, our customer service, is making sure that everything looks as tidy and clean. And the next one, Olathe, just a couple more pictures of a wash we did 2 years ago in Olathe. This next one, I'm going to make a couple comments before I get into this slide. We heard a few things going through the process and talking to staff, and some planning commission made some comments about what's the demand for car washes in the marketplace. Well, in 2019, Boston Consulting Group did a study and acknowledged that there's about 14,000 car washes in the United States, with demand. With the amount of demand, the supply was short by about 2 times throughout the country, which over the next 15 years will add another 12,000 or so car washes. So that is a little bit on a national basis where the car wash industry is. And we think that by our view of that, as we underwrite sites and demographics, is that there's one modernized tunnel car wash, not a car wash, but a modernized tunnel car wash for about every 10,000 people in a trade area, not necessarily the city population, but the trade area. If we can go back to the site plan real quick, Mike, I'm going to try to answer a couple questions that council brought up. So on the north, where you enter, we will use signage and wayfinding to make sure that it's very intuitive for drivers to come through. We can stack 22 people before the car wash, we can not stack, but we can process 6 vehicles within the car wash while we're there. So at any one time, there can be 28 cars on this site before they come out and either take a left and go back out onto Highway 7 or go to get their vehicles vacuumed. We process vehicles on busy days, the slushy, snowy days that you referenced. We can process 200 cars an hour for hour after hour on those days, which is much faster. And if you were to go and actually time yourself from the time you enter one of the Tommy's car washes versus one of our competitive car washes that were referenced on 7, it takes 2 minutes less to get through our car wash than it does through one of our competitive ar washes. And just by virtue of the demand that they're coming out on 7 Highway, we think an additional car wash will help alleviate some of that problem that we have at the car wash that kind of leaks out onto the highway. And you mentioned trash as well. We didn't know trash. So 7 a.m. is when we'll have trash pickup, and that's right when we open the car wash. So they'll be in and out of there before any significant amount of our customer base is going to be there. And that concludes my comments. I'm happy to take any questions.
Any questions for the applicant? Councilman Erickson.
Just on this, I think it's page 268 where you have the graphic, the colorful graphic. I think I'm answering my own question, but I was sitting here struggling with this. I've looked at it. Obviously, this is not what you're proposing.
Correct. Yeah, that's a prototype photo in that particular
Okay.
image.
That's all. I'm just curious.
Councilmember Fowler.
Yeah, I guess the question about, hey, when you come out of the car wash there, you take if you're gonna go to the vacuums, you gotta take a right, and then you're gonna have to do a 180-degree turn and come back out when it's time to leave. And that's where I say to your customers, I think they'll like that, because to me, it seems very congested. People are very territorial about their vehicles and everything, so.
Yeah, and almost every one of our car washes, we have that type of movement coming in and out. There's a couple that have an extra exit, but that's the kind of movements that they do come out of the vacuums, and they stay to the right, and other cars stay to the, each one, so the eastbound and westbound, each stay to the right.
And there's enough gap there for a couple of vehicles in?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and of all the car washes we have, even on the snowy, slushy days, which tend to be the busiest days, we've never had any of our other 6 car washes back out into either a private drive, depending on the development, or a public street. And we do have one, it doesn't empty out onto Kansas Highway 7, but it's on Kansas Highway 7 with a private drive behind.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and I guess I'd like to follow up on Councilman Edmondson's question. When they're coming out, and you're saying that they're faster than a regular car wash, so it's not like every 20 seconds or so, and if somebody has a little bit of trouble, if they're just leaving and get caught in a little jam right there, how does the car wash stop? Or do they just,
If there were an interaction of some kind, we would probably stop the car wash so it wouldn't exacerbate the situation. And so we do have staff that are out in the vacuum bays that have little walkie-talkies, and they communicate with the people that actually operate in the car wash at the inside. But the wayfinding and the striping that will be on the site will be very intuitive and makes sense for the customer.
Councilmember Thorpe.
Kind of piggybacking, how many cars can come out and sit at that when they come out of the conveyor?
On the exit?
Yeah, where they're waiting to possibly churn out.
Yeah, so that's our civil engineers. That's Zach Myers with Kimley Horn. And so if we have 3 or 4 what would come out, and if they stop and they were each trying to make a right turn onto there, then what would happen is that people would probably have to go out into the vacuum bays, pull, turn around, and then come back and make a right turn through the other side.
Do you know what percentage go to the vacuum bays versus just leave the property?
It's a time of year, Big Ten. What would you guys say?
The membership, it's a really low percentage of the general paying public, and it's about 30%. Membership is about 10%.
If if you could answer that, since you're the one that's
Yes.
sworn in. and
So,
then
yeah, that's
if we
okay.
have more,
I
they'll
need
have
some
to
help.
come
I
in
don't
and get
have all,
sworn in,
I
but-
don't have all the brains of it. So of our membership, they, because they use it more frequently, they'll vacuum about 10% of the time. And then the non-membership will vacuum about 30% of the time.
Thank you. Councilmember Culpepper.
Yeah, I'm trying to picture myself coming out of this car wash. So if you go to vacuum, then you pull into the vacuum area. Now you've got to back up, and while you're backing up, you got somebody else coming into the vacuum area, and then you have somebody else trying to make a U-turn because they're stacked up to get back on 7 Highway. That's the congestion that I picture going on here.
Can you say that one more time? I didn't get to the U-turn part.
Well, if someone comes out of the car wash and they go into the vacuum area,
Mm-hmm.
now they're gonna have to back up to pull back out, to leave.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, in the meantime, you've got somebody else who's come out, and there's, what I heard was 4 cars can stack there to get out onto 7. So they can't get out, so now they're all gonna try to get into the vacuum area to U-turn it to get back in line to get back on 7 Highway. Is that what I'm hearing here?
I think in a very busy situation, that would be one thing that would happen. Is vehicles could go use the vacuums, and they would back out, and then return, and they would stack then eastbound.
Yeah, it's just really congested.
Because it's not too dissimilar that how it is dissimilar than a fast food or a QSR would be, with that kind of parking on the south side. People pulling in and out and then not being able to exit to the west, everyone's gonna have to exit the other direction. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but in most instances, when you're talking about a store where people get out and they go in, you don't have that constant flow, which I'm assuming if you're successful with this, there's gonna be a constant flow of cars.
Yeah, I think in our peak days, there'll be a constant flow, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I can think if there were ever an issue, we would have one of our people out there to make sure that that traffic was moving, properly. But on normal days, that is going to be a non-issue.
Do you have some?
You do.
I'm done, thank you.
Councilmember Kaler.
Just for the record, I don't have a problem with the in and out on the vacuums. I go to a couple of car washes already that do that. My issue with this whole thing is if you get 3 cars coming out of that car wash and one of them is going to go out to 7 Highway and is not going to go vacuum, the stacking there is going to be big time because the stacking on the entrance is more than even totally coming out of the car wash. So I just see a big issue with coming out of the car wash trying to get back on 7 Highway. It's not, for me, it's not the vacuums in there because there's enough between the parking spaces. It's not really parking spaces. They usually make those a little wider to vacuum, and it's easy to get in and out of that, and I don't have any problem with it. Even my wife gets in and out of it, so it's just coming out of the car wash.
Councilman Edmondson.
Okay, so you almost convinced me. With the current setup, and you made mention to it, you've got a car wash down at the south end of town, you got one down at the north end of town. We'd love to have one in the central part of town. In the design of this, on the exit, you have it right out, right in. Most people would not be coming right in because of the fact they're coming to a car wash to wash the car, not necessarily to use vacuums, because that's the only reason they'd be coming in that way.
Correct.
Or an employee. And you had said that typically you got 4 employees. Did I hear that right?
Yes, 3 or 4 employees is pretty customary.
Okay. And it's all automated, so is there one person in like a booth that collects money or whatever, or so that's...
Yeah, we usually have one person at the window, one person watching the car wash and making sure that there's no issues going on in the car wash while cars are in there. One person in the vacuum bays, so there's 3, and then sometimes if we're busier, we have a 4th person roaming.
Okay. So do you do an adequate job, and I'm throwing that out, of indicating with arrows on the ground which direction to go when they leave, so people don't come out and get confused, that type of thing?
Yep. We go to great lengths to have great signage and wayfinding, so everything is
Okay.
very intuitive, as well as markings as needed on the pavement.
Yeah, because I could see them coming out and making that immediate left to go right at the exit, you know, and kind of be angled across there, and then, you know, might get, you know, it could get confusing. And your hours, you indicated at 7 o'clock opening. When's your closing time?
8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, depending on the time of year and the amount of light. So
Time of year.
A little bit earlier in the wintertime, later in the summertime.
And I didn't notice, do you have a door that goes up and down in the wintertime?
Correct, we do.
Okay. Does that slow it down?
It does not.
Progression of cars through there?
Nope. Especially if there's cars, they're already stacked in queue, it'll just stay up. If they're going in one after the other, it won't be going up and down on the entrance.
Okay. And then, it's hard to tell with the landscaping and stuff, but at the exit, when you go out, is there some bollards or a wall of some sort of nature that would prevent a car from going out and going right out on the 7 highway?
The landscaping should take care of that. We do have bollards that we use. We probably wouldn't have any bollards right now out there. We've had sites in the past where we've had different types of fencing just to help direct customers out of the wash, just to keep things very intuitive.
Yeah, some people get confused, and we've had instances where people have driven out and over a wall or something like that. So hopefully the landscaping there would be adequate enough to guide them around that corner. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Next, we will go to the audience. Does anyone in the audience want to speak in support of, in opposition to? Okay, any other comments from the council before we close the public hearing? All right, with that I will close the public hearing. Next item is introduction and reading of Tommy's Car Wash rezoning and PDC.
I will introduce it, Your Honor.
First reading of Bill 5243, an ordinance rezoning property from GB General Business to PDC Plan Development Commercial, and approving a plan development concept plan for Tommy's Express Car Wash.
Your Honor, move the bill be approved on its first reading and proceed with the second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Councilmember Fowler.
Yes, Your Honor. I suppose I do appreciate the applicants and, you know, proposed investment. I do see some challenges with it. But I understand it's their business model, so if they believe it's gonna work, then that's good. Just, I do see some challenges with it.
Any further discussion? All right, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? No.
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 Let's roll call that.
Councilmember Erickson?
Aye.
No. Did you say Erickson or Edmondson?
Erickson?
Erickson, okay.
No.
Edmondson?
Aye.
Culpepper?
No.
Kaler?
No.
Tholen?
Aye.
Fowler?
Aye.
Mayor Levesey?
No.
So that failed on the first reading.
Okay. We'll move on to item number 9, public hearing of Google Fiber MCI HUD. If you'll read the items for the record, and then staff will do the presentation.
Mayor, the city has one exhibit to enter into the record, City Council Information Form dated August 13th, 2024, with the following attachments. Staff report with attachments, application with attachments, Title IV Land Use Section, Blue Springs Code of Ordinances by reference, 2014 Comprehensive Plan by reference, bill approving the conditional use permit, and bill approving the final plat. This is all we have to enter for the record.
Staff be sworn in, give us your report.
I do. Okay, Dave McCumber, 903 West Main Street, on behalf of the city. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. Before you this evening is a planning application for a conditional use permit with an alternative development standard request and a final plat. This project is called Google Fiber MCI Hut 156, is located at 2201 Northwest South Outer Road. The property is currently zoned general business. The proposed land use for this project is a utility major, which is required to obtain a conditional use permit in the GB zoning district. The 360 square foot fiber hut will be utilized to store equipment that will aid in the expansion of the Google Fiber network in Blue Springs and the surrounding areas. Google has leased approximately 1,800 square feet from the landowner for the Google Fiber hut. The hut will be screened and secured with an 8-foot tall vinyl fence on 4 sides. The applicant has described the hut as an unmanned facility that is visited by field personnel on a weekly basis. The hut's exterior consists of tan-colored aggregate, but will largely be behind the vinyl fence. An alternative development standard is being requested by the applicant for relief from the UDC section 407.010 on parking and loading, which according to this land use equates to 1 off-street parking space. The applicant has stated that a lease on the land for the exact square footage needed for the hut and its surrounding fence did not account for an off-street parking space. Furthermore, the applicant believes that given the length of the driveway from Northwest South Outer Road and the infrequency of which the site will be visited, there should be no concerns of safety for traffic from vehicles parked in the driveway. On August 12, 2024, the Planning Commission voted to recommend approval of the conditional use permit and final plat, and the PC also approved the preliminary plat. Staff has reviewed the application according to the requirements and standards of the Unified Development Code and recommends approval of the conditional use permit with conditions and the final plat with conditions. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. McCumbers. Any questions, Councilmember Fowler?
Yes, yeah, this parcel, this lot is very uniquely shaped. Good to see somebody wanting it. I guess my question would be, I see where the development is and they're gonna put the fence up and the entranceway and everything. Are they gonna maintain, does this trigger them maintaining the whole lot, from a aesthetic standpoint? So it won't be overgrown?
We'll let the applicant speak to that particular question.
So do we have any requirements for it?
Our requirements would just be that the underlying property owner is responsible for maintenance. That's the way our code is typically written. If there were to be an instance of the lot not being kept up, from a code enforcement perspective, we typically cite the property owner and any tenant on the property. So if there was landscaping in and around the fence, we might cite both of them. But ultimately, the underlying property owner would be responsible. I think what the applicant could speak to is their lease agreement that they have with the property owner and how much they are required to maintain per that lease agreement.
Okay.
Any other questions for staff? Councilmember Culpepper?
Yeah, the fence, how close is that, as I'm looking at this diagram that you have up right now, is that this little line with all the little squares on it?
Yes.
Is that the fence?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Keep
so
going down
that
on that
will
one.
have a fence across the road to keep people out of that area? It'll be a locked fence?
Across the drive there?
Yes, yes,
Yes, that's
Yeah.
correct.
okay. All right, thank you.
Councilmember Erickson?
The driving in, the infrequency of the truck, et cetera,
Mhm.
is there room enough for them to get in and turn around without having to back out on the outer road?
Technically, there is quite a bit of space there from where that fence and the gate would be out to the property line is approximately 36 3/4 feet. And then there's an additional 10 to 15 feet before you reach the edge of the pavement. So there's quite a bit of space there for a vehicle to be able to park and do what they need to and get in and out without really causing any conflict out at the street.
They wouldn't have to back up then? They could, but they wouldn't have to.
They could, but there's space there to turn out if need be.
Any other questions for staff? Okay. Then as the applicant present, want to come give a presentation? Be sworn in, give us your name and address for the record.
I'm Robert Vaquero. I'm the engineer at BHC. We're the applicant in this case for Google Fiber. The project was well described. I'm happy to answer any questions, and we're just excited to bring this project to Blue Springs, get you guys some high-speed internet service.
Questions for the applicant? Yeah.
I know can I ask one?
Yeah, absolutely, Mr.
Okay.
Mallon.
So, as that access drive is only 12 feet wide, if it turns out that the Google Fiber trucks are unable to back out, would you believe that they could work with the underlying property owner to put in maybe an additional section of drive, if needed in the future, to prevent them from backing out? Kind of like a mini hammerhead, if it becomes an issue, because what we don't want to have happen is cars backing up into the grass over time and that get worn out.
Yeah, I believe that's something that could be considered if it becomes any sort of issue.
Councilman Fowler.
Yeah, I guess, do you know how the rest of the lot is gonna be maintained?
Not particularly. I know they will want to keep maintained around the fence and everything. They don't like everything getting overgrown, and they definitely don't want any plants or anything growing within the compound. So they spray around for weeds and invasive plants and things like that. But the whole property, I don't believe there's any plan for Google to take care of anything other than kind of the general vicinity of their fence, building, drive, just their kind of whole leased area there.
Councilman McKaylee.
Yeah, it seems to me that would be a common drive into that because of the billboard, the electronic billboard. I don't know why it wouldn't be, and it would be able to be turned around in there. But it would. My concern is that they don't back out, because that's a hill, and actually it has a flashing light on 22nd Street to tell you that there's a car coming over the hill. So I do not want any cars backing out there at all. That's a very dangerous intersection.
And I'll say that the existing condition for that drive is a gravel drive to the billboard, and it has a large gravel area for, I assume, maintenance and things like that for the billboard. So in the worst of cases, they would probably utilize that to right themselves to get out of the drive.
Councilmember Fowler.
Yes. On the other drawing, I guess I saw the depth of the area to be like 30 feet. I got an F-150 truck, and they're average 20 feet long. I just don't know how you'd be very efficient at backing in and out of there. So to staff, can we require that, what you mentioned there earlier, Director Mallon, in other words, put a location in that drive to where they can just back up into there and then come out forward?
I believe that is a condition you could put on there, yes, is that a turnaround or hammerhead needs to be installed as part of this.
Okay.
So that it would prevent anybody from backing out.
Right.
As seen in this drawing, this is the existing condition of the truck or the driveway, the gravel driveway that then access and services the electronic billboard. Again, the distance from the property line to the fence is about 37 feet, and then there's an additional maybe 8 to 10 feet from the property line to the actual roadway. As you can see in this aerial right here, there's a pretty good, decent depth. But I think if council wanted to make that of a condition to put in a hammerhead to prevent any kind of backing out onto outer road, that would be an appropriate condition.
Okay.
Is that a condition in the CUP? Something we add
It
to
could
the-
be, yes.
Okay.
Under the CUP, the review criteria states whether any site-specific conditions are appropriate to be placed on the property to ensure its compatibility with surrounding properties.
Okay, so that's when you'd have to make that. Councilman Edmonds.
So is there two drives? I mean, is this eliminating the gravel drive for the billboard?
Yes, that's correct. We'll be improving the existing drive. It'll become a little bit wider and fully paved up to the site.
So you're going to be closer to there then. Then my second question on that is, I'm assuming this is a prefab building that sits on a concrete foundation.
That's correct.
Is it a gravel perimeter around that between it and the fence?
Yes.
So you guys would take care of weed control and that type of thing around there?
Oh, yes, yeah, they don't want any plants getting into, conduits, vaults, things like that are
Okay.
gonna be placed on site or messing with equipment, so.
That's all I have.
Any other questions for the applicant?
Can I ask a question?
Councilman
There was
Harris?
little parallel lines that run up to it. I trust to have some kind of fiber conduit, et cetera.
Yeah, that's correct. Those are the fiber conduits coming from the site out to the right of way. Those will be what connects the building to the rest of the network that's going to be
And
in the right of way to
needless
service.
to say, those are subterranean, correct?
Yes, yes.
And then those two little rectangles, those are some kind of above ground, or are those below ground too?
Those are also, they're at grade. They'll be utility vaults. They're 3x5, just sitting on ground.
So then if we require, which we should, some way so we don't have trucks or cars or whatever backing out onto the outer road, will you be able to put an adequate turnaround or whatever so that the trucks won't damage that?
They are generally traffic rated, but we don't provide any protection on ones that have this much right-of-way space to maneuver
So
around.
you're not worried about trucks squishing them?
No, not really.
Any other questions for the applicant? Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you guys.
To that, I will go to the audience. Anyone in the audience want to speak in support of, and opposition to? Any other comments from council before I close the public hearing? That'll close the public hearing. Next is introduction and reading of the Google Fiber CUP.
I will introduce it.
First reading of Bill 5244, an ordinance approving a conditional use permit with an alternative development standard allowing the utility major land use in GB General Business Zoning District for the Google Fiber MCI Hut 156 located at 2201 Northwest South Outer Road.
Your Honor, move the bill be approved on its first reading and proceed with the second.
Is there a second?
Second.
As discussion.
Yes, sir.
Councilmember Fowler.
Oh, I was,
Oh, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Councilman Erickson.
I think we're probably gonna wanna do the same thing. I'm not sure how to word a motion if that's the correct time to do so, but I would like staff to help me with that so that we could do what, as a condition, do what we can to preclude trucks or vehicles from backing out on the outer road. You call it a hammerhead, whatever.
Yeah, and looking at this a little bit more, I think language that could be included would be approval of the conditional use permit with a condition added that states adequate vehicular movement shall be provided on the site so as to not allow any backing out of vehicles onto outer road. And whether that is done through a hammerhead or whether that is done utilizing the existing gravel drive that is out there, I think that's something we could leave up to the applicant to work with the underlying property owner to determine what is best, but that some sort of condition that says a turning movement shall be provided on this overall property that will prohibit anybody from backing a vehicle up onto outer road.
That's what I move.
City clerk's been writing that down, so.
Those are appropriate that,
I got a motion from
Okay.
Councilman Erickson, second from Councilmember Fowler. Is there any discussion on this amendment? Okay. Do you have enough to have a motion? Then all in favor of the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Okay, so now we're still on first reading as amended. Any further discussion on first reading? Okay, all in favor on first reading as amended, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Okay, motion passes. Second reading.
Second reading of Bill 5244 as amended, an ordinance approving a conditional use permit with an alternative development standard allowing the utility major land use in GB General Business Zoning District for the Google Fiber MCI Hut 156 located at 2201 Northwest South Outer Road.
Your Honor, I move to approve the second reading as amended and apply the proper ordinance number.
Is there a second?
second,
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Edmondson.
Aye.
Culpepper.
Aye.
Kaler.
Aye.
Tholen.
Aye.
Fowler.
Aye.
Erickson.
aye.
Mayor Levisay.
Aye.
Carried unanimously and given ordinance number 5350.
Next item is introduction and reading of the final plat for Google Fiber Hut.
I will introduce it.
First reading of Bill 5245, an ordinance approving the final plat of the CCRI Outer Road lot located at 2201 Northwest South Outer Road, Blue Springs, Jackson County, Missouri.
Your Honor, move the bill be approved on its first reading and proceed with the second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed, no.
Second reading of Bill 5245, an ordinance approving the final plat of the CCRI Outer Road lot located at 2201 Northwest South Outer Road, Blue Springs, Jackson County, Missouri.
Your Honor, move to approve the second reading and provide the proper ordinance number.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Culpepper,
Aye.
Kaler,
Aye.
Tholen,
Aye.
Fowler,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Edmondson,
Aye.
Mayor Levisay.
Aye.
Carried unanimously and given ordinance number 5351.
All right, next item 12, our fourth and final public hearing of the evening. If you can read the items to the record and staff be sworn in and give us your report.
Mayor, the city has one exhibit to enter into the record, City Council Information Form dated August 12, 2024 with the following attachments. Staff report with attachments, application with attachments, affidavit of publication in the Examiner on July 26, 2024, Title 4 Land Use Section, Blue Springs City Code of Ordinances by reference, and 2014 Comprehensive Plan by reference, and bill amending the UDC related to fencing. This is all we have to enter for the record.
Mr. Mallow, if you can be sworn in, give us your report.
I do. Mike Mallon, 903 West Main Street on behalf of the city, and I have been sworn. Tonight's Unified Development Text Code Amendment is related to the location standards for fencing, specifically to 407040D3 under the buffers, screens, fencing section, other fencing design standards. These UDC proposed text amendments were brought to staff's attention by some direction from City Council, who requested we bring forward an amendment to help solve some issues related to fence setbacks or fence locations in relation to property line. The current Unified Development Code states that a fence shall be placed at or near the property line or shall be set back 3 feet from a property line. The requirement for the 3 feet setback is to allow enough room for somebody to get in there with a mower or weed eater or trimmer to maintain that area so that grass and weeds in that area between a fence and maybe another fence or a fence and a property line can be mowed and maintained. There have been a few instances over the years where the interpretation of quote at or near the property line and the application of that 3 feet setback requirement to the property line have been inconsistent and have also caused some confusion for the property owners and fence contractors. The intent of this Unified Development Code text amendment is to provide more clarity as to what at or near the property line means by defining that as within 6 inches of the property line, as well as to provide further clarification that not only does a fence have to be 3 feet from a property line, but in no instance anywhere should a new fence be built in the city that is closer than 3 feet to an adjacent fence, regardless of where it's located, whether it's an existing fence that may be a foot off the property line or maybe even encroach over the property line a little bit. In all instances, all fences shall be set back at least 3 feet from each other. So provides a little bit more clarity in there to really try as best as we can to prevent a situation where you have two fences closer than 3 feet. And it's rare when it happens, but when it does happen, it leaves maybe a 1.5 to 2 foot gap, and that really makes it hard for somebody to get in there. So just for a little bit of background, when staff permits fences, we do not require a full survey from the homeowner or the fence contractor. Sometimes those can range in the $500 to $1,000 range, depending on the size of the property. Staff does get a drawing of the property, either the plot plan that's submitted with the house is built or a copy of their lot from a plat map. And we assume that that is as close to the property line as we can get, and they mark on there where they're going to put it. We do believe that that would be overly burdensome to add an additional $500 to $1,000 to the cost of a permit to find the exact property line location. So that's why staff feels that within 6 inches is as close as we can probably get by defining that. We've had some instances where at or near the property line was interpreted by some members of staff to be on the property line or within a foot or within 18 inches, and so we want to provide clarity to that. The Development Advisory Commission recommended approval of this amendment on August 6th, and the Planning Commission recommended approval as well on August 12th. The proposed code amendment language that would be included would be under 407-040D3C again, other fence design standards, and would remove the at or near the property line, so it is at or within 6 inches from the property line. Otherwise, a fence shall be set back 3 feet from the property line, absent more specific standards. A fence shall not be constructed or maintained parallel to or generally following an existing fence unless the fence are 3 feet apart. Or we will include a provision that they can be placed directly up against each other. So as to, that's been a practice that we have done over the years, where we have said it says 3 feet setback or at or near, but if somebody has a fence at the property line already, we have made an interpretation that if you put it directly up abutting, so there is no space in between for grass or weeds to grow, that we have allowed that. It's just never been codified, so we're proposing to add that too, and that last sentence says at or, so the fences have to be 3 feet apart or directly abutting the existing fence.
Any questions for staff from the council? Councilmember Culpepper.
I got a lot of questions tonight, sorry. So I go in and I purchase a lot and I'm gonna build a house and I'm gonna put up a fence. Somebody buys a lot next door, they wanna put up a fence.
Mm-hmm.
So is it a race to who puts theirs up first 6 inches from the line and the other guy's gotta give up 3 feet of his property to put up his fence?
I don't believe it's a race, but whoever's fence, that's where we would come into the at or near, and if they, on the drawing, show that it's on the property line, we will, when staff does inspections, we do not go out and look for property pins and look for it. So if we get a drawing that says it's on the property line and does not explicitly show it being set 3 feet back, we will assume it's on the property line. So the next person in would either have to place their fence 3 feet apart from it or directly up against it.
So they would have to lose 3 feet of their property because the other fence was in first.
Under our current code today, yes.
It seems like, you know, why don't we make them all 1.5 feet from the property line? Then we don't have that.
The issue with that is it's really hard to find out where that property line is.
Mr. Maryland, I think there might be some confusion. You can put 2 fences at the property line.
But they're right up
They would be
against
right,
each other.
yeah, be right up against
which
each other. That's correct.
I don't know why anybody do that, but yeah, I mean, I get that. And I
Yes.
get the purpose of this.
Yes.
I agree with the purpose. I'm just concerned about somebody saying, well, now, I have to forfeit 3 feet of my property all the way down the side of
Mhm.
my lot. That's where my flower garden was gonna be, and I
Yes.
can't have that now. I have to give that up for this fence.
That is something we hear often.
Mhm.
And on the way our code is currently written is we would enforce that 3 feet setback. We would also, by interpretation, allow it to be directly up abutting, but that's only by interpretation. And if we were to get challenged on it by an adjacent property owner, we really wouldn't have anything to stand on. So that's why we've proposed to add that into the code. But yes, that is a concern.
Thank you.
Councilmember Kaylee.
Well, to fix her little situation, you could actually get with your neighbor and use the same fence and then let the back part up against the other fence. You would, and then you would not have a 3 foot in your property line. Be a nice neighbor and go over and say, hey,
Yeah,
like
that's
use
what
your
they do in
fence.
my neighborhood, but I know there's some neighborhoods they do not do that.
But that could be done though, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, it could be done, and it is wonderful when property owners, adjacent neighbors like each other and get along well that way. We have very frequent occurrences where fencing delineates properties from 2 neighbors who don't necessarily like each other, and so that has been a source of our fencing regulation changes that we've brought back before council many times over the last 5 years.
So in other words, hence putting in a fence. Because of feuds. Go ahead.
I don't remember if the quote is good fences make good neighbors or good fences make
Fences
bad
make
neighbors.
good
I don't
neighbors.
remember which one it is, but Councilmember Fowler.
So I guess I really do like the or directly abutting the existing fence, because I've seen situations where, let's say you've got a chain link fence, 4 foot on this side, 4 foot on this side, and a 6 foot privacy back there, if they're going in with a pool or they just want a 6-foot privacy fence for a big dog or something, doing it directly abutting the existing fence is definitely a good way to go, because if you build it 3 feet inside and you had to go in and maintain that, it'd just be horrible. So I look at that or directly abutting to be a preference that most people would take if something is already built out. So,
Councilmember Erickson, yeah.
I think I'm hearing two different conclusions from this, but to Councilmember Culpepper's comment, if you have two properties and somebody wants to put a fence up, they can put it on the property line. And then her concern, as I understood it, was then the second fence has to be 3 feet away, but that is not true. That is the way it is today. But if this passes, it would be within, it could go right up against it, like Councilmember Fowler said. That is correct, right?
That is correct. They could do it.
I guess there's nothing we can do about existing issues, because part of the reason this came up was homeowners had issues where their subdivision said you gotta be 18 inches back or whatever. If that's the case, then the next property owner could come as long as it's 3 feet away, or they couldn't go to the property line because there'd already be an existing fence that's too far away to abut it, right?
Potentially. Anytime there's a replacement of a fence, we do get a permit for it. And so if somebody willfully tears down their fence to put up a new fence, and that pre-existing fence was legal non-conforming, any new fence they put up would have to conform to this new standard. So it could help fix some situations that we have in the past, or situations where the fences are too close, because if somebody wants to replace their fence, they would have to comply with this standard.
Any further questions for staff? Okay. Since we are the applicant, I guess we'll just go to the audience and see if there's anyone in the audience wanting to speak in support of, in opposition to. Any other comments from the council before we close the public hearing? With that, we will close the public hearing. Next item is introduction and reading of approving the Unified Development Code for fencing.
I will introduce it.
First reading of Bill 5246, an ordinance amending section 407.040D3 buffers, screens, and fencing, other fence design standards of the Unified Development Code of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Blue Springs to adopt regulations for fence setbacks.
Your Honor, move the bill be approved on its first reading and proceed with the second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Second reading.
Second reading of Bill 5246, an ordinance amending section 407.040D3 buffers, screens, and fencing, other fence design standards of the Unified Development Code of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Blue Springs to adopt regulations for fence setbacks.
Your Honor, move to approve the second reading and provide the proper ordinance number.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Kaler,
Aye.
Tholen,
Aye.
Fowler,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Edmondson,
Aye.
Culpepper,
Aye.
Mayor Levisay.
Aye.
Carried unanimously and given ordinance number 5352.
Next item is introduction and reading of the final plat for 802 Southwest Walnut.
I will introduce that.
First reading of Bill 5247, an ordinance approving the final plat of Skyer Estates located at 802 Southwest Walnut Street, Blue Springs, Jackson County, Missouri.
Your Honor, move the bill be approved on its first reading and proceed with the second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Second reading.
Second reading Bill 5247, an ordinance approving the final plat of Skyer Estates located at 802 Southwest Walnut Street, Blue Springs, Jackson County, Missouri.
Your Honor, move to approve the second reading and provide the proper ordinance number.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Tholen.
Aye.
Fowler.
Aye.
Erickson.
Aye.
Edmondson.
Aye.
Culpepper.
Aye.
Kaler.
Aye.
Mayor Levisay.
Aye.
Carried unanimously and given ordinance number 5353.
Next item, introduction and reading of final plat for Dutch Bros Coffee.
I will introduce that.
First reading of Bill 5248, an ordinance approving the final plat for Dutch Bros Coffee, Blue Springs, Jackson County, Missouri.
Your Honor, move the bill be approved on its first reading and proceed with the second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Second reading.
Second reading of Bill 5248, an ordinance approving the final plat for Dutch Bros Coffee, Blue Springs, Jackson County, Missouri.
Your Honor, move to approve the second reading and provide the proper ordinance number.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, sir.
Councilmember Kaler.
I just would like to know, is that a right in, right out due to MoDOT, or is that ours?
Is there any 7 highway access on that? I thought that was just on RD Mine.
Yeah, I'm talking about the Artie
Oh,
Mines.
okay.
Is that having to do with MoDOT?
I believe that was a MoDOT requirement as part of the traffic study that Dutch Brothers provided, or to them, MoDOT requested that that be a
Right.
channelized right in, right out intersection onto RD Mines.
That's correct.
Any other
Wanted that
discussion
noted.
for second reading? We are on second reading, aren't we? Okay, any other discussion? Councilmember
Did you say,
Erickson.
did you say it is MoDOT's or you believe it is?
It is
yeah.
MoDOT.
It is, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Any other discussion? All right, roll call.
Councilmember Fowler,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Edmondson,
Aye.
Culpepper,
Aye.
Kaler,
Aye.
Tholen,
Aye.
Mayor Levesey.
Aye.
Carried unanimously and given ordinance number 5354.
Next item is introduction and reading of bill number 5249, terminating the Copperleaf Village TIF.
I will introduce that, Your Honor.
First reading Bill 5249, an ordinance terminating tax increment financing within the Copperleaf Village Shopping Center redevelopment area, dissolving the special allocation fund related thereto, and authorizing certain actions relating thereto.
Your Honor, move the bill be approved on its first reading and proceed with the second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Second reading.
Second reading of Bill 5249, an ordinance terminating tax increment financing within the Copperleaf Village Shopping Center redevelopment area, dissolving the special allocation fund related thereto, and authorizing certain actions relating thereto.
Your Honor, move to approve the second reading and provide a proper ordinance number.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Erickson.
Aye.
Edmondson.
Aye.
Culpepper.
Aye.
Kaler.
Aye.
Tholen.
Aye.
Fowler.
Aye.
Mayor Levesey.
Aye.
Carried unanimously and given ordinance number 5355.
Next item, introduction and reading of bill 5250, declaring and accepting the August 6th election results.
I will introduce that.
First reading Bill 5250, an ordinance declaring the results of the election held in the city of Blue Springs, Missouri on August 6, 2024.
Your Honor, move the bill be approved on its first reading and proceed with the second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, sir.
Councilmember Erickson.
It's a custom that Councilmember Culpepper introduces it, but gosh dog, I wish we could all introduce it. I'm really proud of that. Sorry about that, I had to say it.
What are you proud of exactly,
I'm
Councilmember
proud of
Erickson?
the fact that we have this on the agenda tonight to approve.
That's pretty exciting, isn't it?
It is.
Well, I think
Councilmember
we need
Culpepper.
to thank the voters for
Yes.
their trust in us to carry out their desires to make our streets better. We really appreciate that vote of confidence, and we will follow through with it.
Absolutely. The item on the agenda has the vote count of 6,829 to yes to 2,322 no. So I believe that was about 75%. That's a pretty big mandate from the residents to get some infrastructure and street improvements done. And as you said, Councilman Culpepper, we'll get to work.
Yep.
Any other discussion? We are on first reading, correct? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Second reading.
Second reading Bill 5250, an ordinance declaring the results of the election held in the city of Blue Springs, Missouri on August 6, 2024.
Your Honor, move to approve the second reading and provide the proper ordinance number.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Edmondson.
Aye.
Culpepper.
Aye.
Kaler.
Aye.
Tholen.
Aye.
Fowler.
Aye.
Erickson.
Aye.
Mayor Levesey.
Aye.
Carried unanimously and given ordinance number 5356.
All right, next item is a presentation from our Downtown Master Plan Implementation Task Force. I believe we have the Executive Director of Downtown Alive, Mr. John Burke, coming up here to give us a presentation. Staff, do you have other comments before he makes his way up here?
I do. I'm going to give a little introduction,
All right.
Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mayor and council members. We're going to do a presentation this evening on the Downtown Master Plan Task Force. I just want to thank the mayor for appointing the task force, for all those that were involved in the good conversations that we had throughout those meetings. And I'm just going to kind of give a little background about where we're at, and then John can kind of get into the details about what the task force came up with. So in March, on March 18th, the council approved the downtown master plan, and then some next steps were identified in that plan that provided implementation strategies, a schedule, and some priorities about which organizations could be involved with the implementation of that plan. At the April 29th council work session, council directed staff to bring forward a resolution establishing the downtown master plan implementation task force, and that task force was appointed on May 6th, They met 4 different times, twice in June and twice in July. And the mayor kind of gave them 2 questions that they wanted them to answer. Those were, what projects will have the biggest impact improving downtown? And then what are some immediate opportunities for success? So if you see here on the council packet, those implementation strategies they aligned with the 5 areas that were identified in the plan, and those were the Railside area, the Yard area, the Core area, Central Park, and then the East Main area. So all of the implementation strategies aligned with each of these different areas throughout the plan. And then further in your packet you can see the different areas for implementation strategies, and then those are talked about more in our report. And I will turn it over to Mr. Burke.
You're just
I
on your own,
swear.
John.
It's clear to me that I'm the only thing standing in the way of you and dinner. So I'm gonna try to move quickly. Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, guests, thanks for letting us be here today. I'm representing Downtown Alive. We had the privilege of chairing the task force that came up with the recommendations. As Kara said, several meetings, lots of very good conversation. I can tell you that the folks that were in that room, the folks on that task force in particular, our 3 city council persons, care deeply about our community, and even if they don't agree on things, they figure out how to have consensus so we can move forward. So thank you very much, council persons Culpepper, Edmondson, and Erickson. You'll see a spreadsheet, there it is, with our recommendations. We had 6 priorities relative to the first question. That was, what are the most impactful items in that master plan? And then we had 4 that sort of tied for priority number 7, and you can see them there. The first priority for most impactful was to do something with the rail yard, the reuse of the church, and all of those buildings there. The second priority was a new Main Street mixed use plan, which was part of the yard. So that is the lumber yard area that hopefully we'll be able to take some action on. Central Park, that was priority number 3, and the group liked the concept of the gathering place. I think that's like page number 430 or something like that in your packet. We also wanted to see a streetscape, which I suspect might now be possible. Thank you, voters. We believe that district parking and signage is something that could happen quickly. We want to see 800 block redevelopment on East Main. That would be an area the consultants identified as a boutique hotel or housing. And then in the yard area, Railside, mobility, and East Main, again, 4 priorities that were tied for number 7. The second question, though, was what can we do now, right? And we had 3 items. I would suspect if we were to meet again, we might add a 4th item given the outcome of the bond issue. Those 3 items that we believe could be addressed now, and we had a bit of discussion over what immediate means. And so we have a category, a row on our spreadsheet of a year or less. So that's for us what immediate means, within a year. So we thought the city could take some action on the yard within a year, the district parking and signage within a year, and then gateway improvements within a year. And again, were we to have an additional meeting, I suspect that the streetscape would make it onto the within a year category as well. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions for Mr. Burke? Councilmember Kaler.
Was there any talk about what gateway improvements it would be?
So we looked at the plan, right? And in the plan, if you look at, I don't even know what page that is in the plan. Kara's going to bring the slide up. There are some landscaping improvements. There's the possibility that there could be an island or something in the median there. Perhaps we could improve our wonderful letter sign that shows people where our downtown is. So we really just looked at that, those recommendations from the consultants.
But even with that close 7 highway, wouldn't it be a MoDOT?
Right in, right out.
We would probably have to have some discussions with them, yes.
If I
Right in,
may.
right out.
Councilman Culpepper.
When we put the gateway in initially, which we used all 100% donated funds to do that, Downtown Alive did, and it was placed where it is because of a parking issue, but also MoDOT issue. And so it ended up being further back than we really wanted, but we weren't given a choice on that. So if there's something we could do to beef it up between there and 7 Highway.
Yeah, I think what's significant about the master plan in general and the items you prioritized is only a few of them are within the complete purview of the city. So all of these are gonna take some additional interactions with
Yes.
property owners, with MoDOT, with other stakeholders to make it happen. But we are fortunate we have a council that's committed to making this happen, and we appreciate the efforts of the task force. Councilmember Culpepper, Erickson, and Edmondson for being on that committee, and also Mr. Ken Harrell, who is our Community Development Block Grant Chair, for his time as well, and everybody else on the task force. What other questions do we have for Mr. Burke?
I just want to say that John and Kara did a really good job. It's hard to keep that many of us on track. We wandered a lot, but they did an excellent
I
job.
can't imagine that's true in the least.
Sort of like a faculty meeting.
You know nothing about that, do you?
No.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Well, fortunately, we do have a council that's committed. I think to that end will bring us to item number 19. I believe, Councilmember Erickson, you have presented us with something that you would like to make a motion about.
Well, I actually will have 3 motions. There's a paper in front of you. The bolds pretty much announce what the motion will be, and I'll just introduce and you get to listen to me read. So I will move to direct the staff to prepare an ordinance declaring the lumberyard property as surplus property and prepare a request for proposals for the new Main Street mixed-use and multifamily development of the lumberyard for consideration at the September 3rd, 2024 council meeting with a return date of 90 days from issuance.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there discussion on this motion? Okay, then I guess all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed, no. That motion carries. What's your next motion, Councilmember Erickson?
Thank you. I move to direct staff to issue an RFP for design services, select and engage a consultant to design an infrastructure plan for a new Main Street streetscape within 60 days, focusing on streets, sidewalks, landscape, and pedestrian access to Central Park, East Main Street gateway improvements, signage and directional signage to parking, East Gateway downtown merchant and informational signage, evaluation of public and private parking options.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this motion?
This will all come back to be approved by us, correct?
It's an RFP within 60 days. Is the start date September 3rd for that as well, staff? From today, okay, there you go. So 60 days from today. Any further discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. All right. What's your next motion, Councilman Barrett?
This is the last one, but thank you.
All right.
I move to direct the Parks and Recreation staff to provide pricing and project timeline options by September 30, I guess I should say 2024, for the renovation of Central Park as a gathering space based off the 3 concept plans included in the downtown master plan.
Do I have a second?
Second.
The motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this motion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Do you have Councilmember Edmondson before we get the final vote here?
I had a question on that. You're directing staff to do that. this would be something where we need to ask about moving funding up for that at this time?
It would have that potential once we bring that plan back to you with some options.
Okay.
The date for that, it was specifically set for September 30th, and we may have a work session that evening.
Okay.
So that could be on the agenda
may
for that.
All right, any opposed, no. Motion carries. That concludes our extensive agenda for this evening. I don't have any visitors' appearance forms. Is there any council members that have any comments before we move on? Nothing? Well, that's good, because I have several, so. Appreciate Councilman Erickson showing our bond election. That was an item I had, and we very much want to thank the voters for the confidence in supporting that election. And we have directed staff to give us some timelines, some information on the next steps for that, as well as just like we have with downtown now. And we hope to have those pretty soon to present. Also, about 3 hours ago, I was sitting in the lazy river at Blue Surf Bay because tomorrow there's going to be some new hours. Because of the start of school, we lose a lot of our employees, so we were soaking up the last couple hours of summer vacation here. So as of tomorrow, the Blue Surf Bay hours change from noon to 4 p.m. So they will be open from 4 p.m. to 7, and then on the weekend still noon to 6. But that will be a significant change for Blue Surf Bay. That's because as of tomorrow, we have school starting this week. Both Blue Springs and Grain Valley start tomorrow, and the Lee Summit starts on Wednesday. So I know the council knows this, but in the city limits of Blue Springs, we actually have students that attend all 3 of those school districts. So there are hundreds of kids that live in Blue Springs that go to Lee Summit schools, hundreds of kids that live in Blue Springs that go to Grain Valley schools. I've been fortunate over the summer, made an effort to sit down with all the superintendents, express the support of the city and how we continue to work with them and be good partners. And so we wish them luck as they start school this week. I know we're dropping off a kid to middle school for the first time, so that's a big change for us. Also, on Saturday is our Green Up the Blue event. That will be Saturday, August 24th, starting at 9 a.m. I believe there's still an opportunity to sign up for that. Is that right, Mr. Dennis? Yes, okay. You can sign up on the website. There are 3 options, either to help out cleaning on I-70, to help clean our streams, or to just help clean around the parks. So depending on your comfort level, I believe I-70 does not allow minors, but everything else, you can have the family get involved. Sign up on the website, let us know you're coming, and it starts at Peak Hill Park at 9 a.m. on Saturday. And then finally, between now and our next council meeting is Labor Day. That will be on September 2nd, believe it or not. So we will have a council meeting on Tuesday the 3rd, not on that Monday the 2nd. So that's all the information I have. With that, I will accept a motion to adjourn. Oh, Councilmember Fowler.
Tip-up cop?
Oh, that is right. When is that? That is Thursday? Tomorrow. There is an event at Johnny's Tavern.
No.
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 He said yes. Where is it? Councilmember Caleb, why don't you tell us about Tippecop?
It's Texas Roadhouse.
Texas Roadhouse, that's right, okay. And what are the times for that?
Ask the chief.
Chief, what do you got for me?
From 4, from 4 to 8 p.m. tomorrow evening, and all the proceeds will benefit Special Olympics Missouri.
Okay, 4 to 8 tomorrow at Texas Roadhouse. Not Thursday at Johnny's Tavern.
Will Chief be there?
Chief, will you be there?
No, I will not be. But
what are you doing,
there'll
Jerry?
be some very good people there. I will be on vacation.
All right. Any other items that I was not prepared for? Okay, with that, I will accept the motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. We are adjourned.
You don't